The JillStream is okay. Wait a minute.
Hello.
How are you? The JillStream.
I'm great, Antonio.
You're yeah. Welcome, Jill to the JillStream. So Jill.
Welcome one, welcome all.
Yes, it is awesome to have you all here. This is episode 4 of the JillStream, and
I can't believe we've made it this far.
Looks like we made it. Okay. But I don't know. But I'm here, and the JillStream is live. Well, Jill, I have so missed you, even though we streamed together on the AEW Fighter Fest on Wednesday night,
That's
right here
true.
on this channel, and it was awesome. So, but how are you, Jill?
I'm doing good. I've been doing the same thing pretty much every day, and I'm doing great. Just working and not, working and not working, watching shows, working, going to the grocery store. Went to the grocery store.
And what have you been watching, Jill? Because I know you actually had told me you watched some episodes of The Wire.
I did.
That was,
I didn't know we were going to talk about The Wire today.
No, we're not.
I would have prepped better for The Wire.
No. I just wanted to. I was just like, I was just delighted and thrilled that you actually decided to give The Wire a chance for moi.
I thought I'd give it a second chance, especially since the first time I saw it, it was like the middle to end of the run of the show. So that's kind of not a good showing.
Not a good jumping in place. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will do some streams because I definitely want to dissect The Wire. I want to go from beginning to the end of The Wire and actually break that down. So I don't know when myself and Jill figure out a plan on how to do that. We will do that, and then you guys can join us. Hopefully you guys might like The Wire as well if you have not watched it, but it is one of my all-time favorite shows. I also want to watch like Sopranos and Game of Thrones and stuff like that. So we want to, we're trying to mix it up.
I don't think I can do Game of Thrones. I can't again.
Oh, no.
I can't.
Game of Thrones?
I'm a book snob when it comes to Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
I can't help it.
I thought they did a decent job the first at least 4 seasons.
The first few seasons are fine. Like I don't really have a problem with that. It's kind of it really goes off the rails after Jon Snow.
I still like season 5, and I liked a good part of season 6, and then after that, season 7 is when they put the warp drive into dragons. That wasn't when they put the warp drive into dragons. Season 7 wasn't horrible, but it was very rushed because they just wanted to get out of the show. And then season 8, which definitely should have had a couple more episodes to let it breathe. And HBO tried to get that. They were like, hey man, let's set this up. But
they had their chance to kind of. They knew how many episodes they had. They didn't have to do it how they did. But that's another show altogether.
Yes,
but my favorite Game of Thrones character is who's it? Davos
Seaworth?
Knuckles. Davos Seaworth.
Yeah, Davos Seaworth, yes.
He's my favorite.
He wears his cut off fingers around his neck.
He's great in the book. His chapters are wonderful, if anyone cares.
And anyway. Okay. Well,
so what else have I been watching? Let's see. I watched a Designing Women episode.
As did I, and that's one of the reasons why this particular episode is called Ask a Negro. Jill had texted me and said, "Hey, will you check this out?" Because I've only seen a handful of Designing Women episodes. I used to want to bang Delta Burke when she was the owner of the California Bulls on First and 10. O.J. Simpson on the show.
She's
HBO.
Married to
Gerald McCraney.
Major Dad. Major Dad. That's how I know him.
Was he on Major Dad?
He was the dad in Major Dad, no?
I thought Major Dad was Major Dad was. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think. What was that movie with Damon Wayans? Major Payne, I think it was.
Oh no, I'm talking about the sitcom
Major Dad.
Major Dad. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that show. But yeah, Gerald McRaney was on
him.
Simon and Simon, which my
That's
mother
great.
used to love. That was where my mom used to. She was a CBS person. She watched
That's a mom show for sure.
But
there's a lot of shows my mom watched. I'm like, oh yeah, my mom watched that. So
but no, my mom, I knew like on. That's why we were talking in the episode or so before. Saturday nights, everybody forgets Saturday night used to be. People used to actually watch TV on Saturday nights because like Golden Girls used to air on Saturday nights. That was the thing they used to put. Because I'm on Saturday, there used to be like Golden Girls, Empty Nest, all that kind of stuff. So those shows on Saturday night, but also you got stuff like Hawaii Five-0,
sure,
Magnum PI, the Rockford Files, Gunsmoke. My mom used to love CBS and Simon, Jake and the Fat Man. This is my mom used to love CBS, and it always skewed the Tiffany network, always skewed towards a older demographic. But my mom was always a CBS person, and my thing was I liked especially NBC when they like added the A-Team and all that kind of stuff. But you had texted me and asked me to watch Designing Women, and it was. I understood that show wasn't meant for me. So
exactly,
I'm not the target demo. I'm saying it's like I'm not the target.
It's a Lifetime show, it's one of those.
They did 163 episodes. I did some research.
There's some really funny episodes. Like this particular episode isn't one of those. It's the episode I asked you to watch is called The Rowdy Girls.
Yeah, The Rowdy Girls.
4.
Season 4, episode 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
and it is available online on a couple of websites.
Yeah,
so
it's up on Hulu right now,
and they haven't removed it.
That's why it has not been removed. That's kind of actually why I wanted you to watch it, and because that Golden Girls episode was removed. Which did you know that the Golden Girls episode that was removed? Because I couldn't remember
the one where
what the episode was about. Because I've seen Golden Girls, hundreds and hundreds of times.
Well,
that particular episode is Dorothy's son comes home with his professor, who he's marrying, who's a Black woman. And Dorothy has a problem with this, but because of the age difference. And then her family comes in and has a problem with it because he's white. And then I don't remember the Rose and Blanche storyline, which actually got the episode pulled.
Well, I saw that there's a clip that a lot of people were mistakenly labeling as a Golden Girls episode, which was actually an episode of the Golden Palace.
Oh.
There was an episode of the Golden Palace, which was what they called the Golden Girls once it got canceled by NBC, and then they moved it to CBS, and B. Arthur decided she did not want to be part of the new show, where they were they decided the Golden Girls
hoteliers or something.
Yeah. They took all their retirement money and bought this kind of broken down hotel.
Ridiculous.
And they decided to they decided to run this hotel, and it was Don Cheadle. This was one of Don Cheadle's first acting jobs, and Don Cheadle's job on the Golden Palace was to be the Black guy. So Blanche had a Confederate flag. And they were going to
being
Blanche Devereaux. Yeah, she was going to. She was always
Southern Belle. Yeah,
Southern Belle, and like to sleep with guys that are way too young and all that kind of. Yeah, that was
not just young guys. She slept with everybody. Blanche.
Yeah, but they seem to have they seem to play her as just like cougar type as well, where she loved.
But I wouldn't say she landed young dudes. I wouldn't. Not at all. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that.
Everybody younger than her. I was like, that's racist to disagree with me based on the subject matter here. So, racist Jill P. Phil, and that is not good. But
stop it.
But she was doing. They were having some kind of Confederate thing or whatever, and she had her Southern antebellum dress on, and she was putting the Confederate flag out, and Don Cheadle comes out and he's angry black guy. Oh my God, that flag is racist, blah 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 blah. And people were saying, oh, this is 1988. It was 1988. It was like 1992 because Golden Palace ran from 92 to 93. 24 episodes got canceled. So yeah, it got canceled after the first season. They ran it for one season. And then that's a lot of those episodes. I feel like they should just run those episodes with the Golden Girls, but I guess because it's
maybe the rights are different or something.
Yeah, it's a separate show. It is because that's a lot of times, as the show goes on. That's why a lot of times shows don't make it past like 7 seasons or whatever. Because the longer it goes on, the more they have to pay the primary actors and stuff. So all of a sudden, when you say, okay, well, this isn't the Golden Girls, this is the Golden Palace, a new show, and you're going to get a decent salary because of who you are.
Exactly.
But you're not going to get the same amount of money that you're going to have when you got a hit show with ratings. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
you're not going to get Seinfeld money.
Yeah.
Friends money.
Everybody, like that last season of Seinfeld, everybody was making $1 million an episode. Everybody.
That's insanity. Just insane.
They were paying Jerry Seinfeld $1 million at least the season or so before. He was getting at least $1 million. And that last season, all the other cast members were like, we feel like we contribute to the show. We should get $1 million. And they asked Jerry about it. And he was one of the executive producers. And he was like, he said, I think they should, but that's the networks. Because they were going to clearly, if you pay all of them, which was another 4 actors or whatever, or 3 actors. 3 actors.
Newman would probably be one of them.
No, it was just Kramer.
Oh, the main 4, George, Kramer, Elaine, and Jerry.
George and Elaine. Those guys all got, so Costanza, they all got, they got $1 million that last season. And but so that it was already costing an average of about, just to pay Jerry like the season before, it was costing over $2 million an episode to
I wonder how much they were actually raking in though from whatever they were making money off of. I guess advertising.
Well, it was the #1 show on television. So I remember hearing that Friends, like within that last season of Friends, they were charging about $700,000 for a 30-second commercial to be in that. You go.
They could afford it.
That 9 o'clock slot. It's 22 and a half minutes on a 30-minute show of actual, and then so you got the other 8.5 minutes of commercials. So that is so you take that 8.5 minutes and break it into 30 minutes, 30-second slots, and you figure that you racking over $500,000 per 30 seconds. So you can make your and then that's not even accounting for the syndication revenue. So you get all the syndication. But they said Jerry Seinfeld's made like $400 million off syndication for Seinfeld because they keep switching. It was on, I think it's back on. There was a point where it was on Crackle, which is controlled by Sony. But what was it? Castle Rock. That was the studio that made Seinfeld was actually, it was a Sony company. So they had it on Crackle, but I think they did this mega deal about a year and something ago where they sold Seinfeld, I thought, to Netflix.
Oh, I can't keep up with that.
Yeah, but I mean, every time they do
that. Right now, Seinfeld's on Hulu.
So it's on, okay. So
it was NBC, but.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it keeps that's what happens. That's why, like, when I was a kid, you'd see Andy Griffith on one network and it kept jumping around because they actually say that's one of the most syndicated Andy Griffith and I Love Lucy. Mm-hmm. A lot of these new networks, that those are because you can buy blocks of Andy Griffith. I actually saw them explain it. Like you can get
super cheap.
You can like, because there were like almost like 300 episodes of Andy Griffith or whatever. Be like, okay, well, we'll give you the rights to syndicate episodes 1 through 100, and you buy that package, and then you have the rights to perpetually run for the term of your contract the first 100 episodes. That's why a lot of times you'll say Andy Griffith, and it'll be like 2 episodes in a row, because it'll fill up the hour, like that kind of thing. So they've got over 300 episodes of The Simpsons now, which is on. It was on FX and FX Plus or whatever, I think, and it's on Disney Plus now.
It's on Disney Plus,
and they've edited a few episodes or removed a few episodes. I saw of the Simpsons.
I saw that too. I think that's a good way to swing back to designing women, though not really, because it wasn't edited.
Yeah, the designing.
So, all these episodes, not all these episodes. Some episodes are shows getting pulled from different platforms, I guess we can say. In this particular Designing Women episode, the A story is about domestic abuse with one of Charlene's
I consider it the B story too, because that's one thing. And I gotta be honest, I was when I watched it, I was a little offended.
Well, I'm not even sure what the A and B story is, to be honest.
I'm saying that you can say the A story, the B story. I think the blackface in this episode was actually the C story, because the main storyline was clearly a pregnant woman trying to help her friend is getting her ass beat by this jackass, and they got she's had 3 daughters with this guy, and she's pregnant with his 4th baby, and this guy is beating her.
Right.
He's broke her fingers. He's broke ribs. They started listing all these he and her friend was like, how did I not realize it before? She, about a year and a half ago, she had a broken finger. She slipped, and 6 months ago had broken ribs. This kind of thing.
Yeah. Charlene overhears him berating her.
Yeah, when she went back, she forgot her bag.
Yeah,
they were practicing, which was the setup for what I say is the C storyline for them to do. They
talent
were all
show.
dancing. Yeah, they were doing the talent show for charity, and they were
an annual thing.
Yeah, they were. So they
and I can't remember who came up with the idea to do I guess Charlene did. She's like, we could do the Supremes, and the friend was going to choreograph the number for them. So that's how that
can introduce. I don't even think she was ever back on the show again. I don't think
she comes at the end of the talent show, because Charlene goes to her and is like, basically run away or come to the talent show. You can stay with us. We'll figure it out. So it comes at the end of the talent.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like I said, I didn't watch a whole lot of episodes of Design, but I don't think did this
you mean in the show? No, that's just one episode
what I'm saying.
Story.
That's another thing why a lot of times when they do these kind of storylines, it's a one shot and it doesn't have the impact. So
really.
You focus this entire episode about this woman horribly getting, pregnant woman horribly getting beaten by her friends. One of the main characters is also pregnant, which I think she was actually pregnant in real life.
Yes, pretty sure.
And they wrote it into the storyline because, the friend was pregnant, but she wasn't really showing. Yeah. Okay, so Charlene.
The other friend. Yeah. The main character's Charlene. But
okay, because I remember her.
She's married to Bill. I think he's an astronaut, actually, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway,
I saw and when I got through the episode, and he was one dude was cheering in the audience. That's Howie from the Fall Guy.
Oh, I think that's Charlene's husband in the show. Actor.
So that's what happened. I forgot he was on that. That's Howie from the Fall Guy, who was Colt Seaver's cousin.
He is a recurring character because there's a whole storyline where Charlene meets him and everything.
That's Howie from the Fall Guy, because I remember him. When Colt Seaver, stuntman and bounty hunter. That show was also created by the guy that did Magnum PI and Battlestar Galactica, Knight Rider. What was it? That Manimals, all this.
Manimals.
Manimal, the guy he could channel the power of animals. That show didn't last.
Funny, Manimal.
And then what was the show he had with the cursor? The guy, he was a computer. The guy, it had Freddie.
Max Headroom?
No. Max, not Max. That's Matt Frewer. I can't. Matt Frewer or Frewer. But I remember him. He was Max. Max Headroom. I forgot how big Max Headroom was in the 80s. That dude.
How many
was crazy.
seasons did that actually go?
Oh God.
I'll look real
Trying to
quick.
remember because
Probably not
that's
very
all.
long.
Well, I was like I said, the guy that did the Fall Guy was the guy that did Magnum PI and Knight Rider and
There's only 14 episodes of Max Headroom.
yeah, it wasn't very good, but he was great as a product endorser.
Yeah, and he shows up in Back to the Future.
Yeah. It's all like, but that guy Matt Fuhrer actually, I thought they used him on Live Aid. I remember I was watching him. It was some concert I watched in the 80s, and they had him come out, and it was somebody was in Paris, I think. Maybe it was Madonna or something like that. They showed it on HBO, and he had the intro video where he actually spoke. He was Max Headroom, but he spoke in French. You know how he would just and do the whole thing.
Kind of like glitch and
because Max Headroom, I remember that. I was like, man, that is so 80s. Because now they would have to completely revamp Max Headroom because obviously the CGI is way better.
Did he do Pepsi commercials?
I thought it was Pepsi. Well, maybe it was Coke.
Pepsi. I don't know,
was it Pepsi? Because
something like that.
He was like, and he would just do that, and I was like, okay. So that is that's what brings me. But I watched the whole episode. Fortunately, the person that uploaded had all the commercials edited out, so that was awesome. So I got through 22 and a half minutes of this. Blackface was just a throwaway joke in there because they had the one girl, Dixie, whatever her name,
Carter. Julia, the older sister character.
Okay,
so Suzanne. Okay, so they're gonna be the Supremes. Suzanne's character is always, she's kind of like the dumb Southern girl. She's a former beauty pageant. She has a maid.
And the actual designing company, which gives the show its name, is her. It's her last name,
Julia's.
Associates or whatever.
They're sisters. Her and the older one, the older brown-haired one, they're sisters. Julia.
All three of them are sisters?
No. Just the older Julia, the one that was like kind of reprimanding her about doing it. Not Annie Potts, and not the blonde.
So Dixie Carter and
Dixie Carter and Delta Burke are sisters on the show.
Okay, because it's called like
Sugar Bakers,
Sugar Baker and Associates. Okay.
Yeah, they're Julia and Suzanne Sugarbaker, and Suzanne is more of the coddled princess, kind of dumb character. So she comes in and she's like, I had my beauty salon mix up a batch of foundation, like dark colored foundation, or however she puts it,
as if she does not know that is offensive,
right? But that's why I preface it. I don't know why I'm prefacing it like her character, like they're giving it to her character because she's like the quote dumb character.
Well, one of the reasons, because what's her name, Linda Bloodsworth Thomas, I think, is she's the creator of this show and a couple of others, but they were friends with the Clintons. This is one of the things I remember of this show. These people, they actually used to go to the White House and all this kind of thing.
Really?
They were dear friends with Bill and Hillary.
Interesting. I did not know this.
That was.
I've never delved in that far to the history.
I love
they
politics.
usually
I remember. Linda Bloodsworth Thomason. They were friends with Bill and Hillary.
A lot of the episodes do deal with a lot of different types, sort of like political or social issues. Not every episode, but that's kind of the flavor of the show, with a woman's slant to it, because it's like Julia's like the fighter.
Yeah, they touched on all kind of stuff, because I remember CBS was really crazy woke. They had what was it, Murphy Brown?
Oh, Murphy Brown, yes.
My mom they did the abortion episode.
Episode, yes. But she had a kid also on the show. So she was an older, that was another storyline, being an older single mom.
They brought Murphy Brown back. They brought Murphy Brown back, I think, last year, and
I heard it was pretty cringy, but I never.
Yeah, and I don't think he got picked up again. I'm trying to look.
She's great on Boston Legal, though.
Oh yeah, she was
her and William Shatner's repartee.
That's David E. Kelly. That's David E. Kelly. I've talked about David E. Kelly. Yeah. I love his work. David E. Kelly.
People should check that out if they haven't seen it.
All the way, yeah. Her being Denny Crane's old love interest.
Yeah.
And then, I loved her as what's her name? Candice Bergen.
That's her real name. I can't remember her character name.
Yeah.
Her dad was, who was her dad? Edgar Bergen. He was a ventriloquist.
Yes. And they used
on
to
the
be
radio. He's like started off to be like vaudeville and then radio.
I think he was on Ed Sullivan.
And TV.
But
he had like a famous radio show during ventriloquism, which is weird.
And so yeah, that was
old school entertainment.
So yeah, let me see. Okay, Daniel C says, I thought Murphy Brown was hot when I never thought she was hot.
She wasn't not hot.
No, she was attractive, but she was I've heard her described as a handsome woman.
She always had different assistants. That was like one of the gimmicks. I remember Paul Rubens did a few episodes as her assistant.
Yeah,
Michael Richards may have also been her assistant for a few episodes. Kramer.
Well, I know Paul Rubens actually got a Emmy for best guest appearance
for that show.
For being on Designing Women. Yeah, he actually
Murphy Brown. You mean?
Yeah, for actually being on there. That was the thing. But yeah, so I'm like I'm looking on IMDb for Linda Bloodworth Thompson. Because I'm trying to see what other shows she did. Because obviously, she had some other shows. Let's see.
Did she? I think she wrote a bunch of the episodes too, if I'm not mistaken.
She also wrote. She wrote like 5 episodes of MASH. That was some of her first television work. MASH, but let me see. Hot Lips and Empty. She did another show. Hot Lips and Empty. She wrote. She wrote for
a
Rhoda.
MASH spinoff. Rhoda, so all these women like centric shows actually.
But yeah, she also wrote for Rhoda, which was the Mary Tyler Moore spinoff.
Valerie Harper.
Yeah, Valerie Harper.
Do you remember later on when they did the show Valerie? I think it was CBS.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. And they did one season that she was in, and then she left the show, and they had to change the name, and they changed it to Hogan's Family.
I think that was on CBS. I mean NBC.
Yeah,
that was
okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Jason Bateman, he was on that show as well.
Yeah, when
good times.
Because he was on there, and his sister was on
Duncan.
His sister was on Family Time. And at that time, everybody thought that she was going to be the bigger star. What's her name? Justine Bateman.
Justine. Have you seen Arrested Development?
Yeah, I don't get that show.
That's okay, well, there's an episode that you probably didn't get to, but
no, I've seen the.
You've seen it? Okay.
There's blackface because what's the guy David Cross, who is another guy, ultra woke guy. His wife even threw him under the bus a few years ago when he got Me Too'd.
Oh, Russ Tamblin's daughter.
Amber Tamblyn. Yeah, Amber Tamblyn. And
I'm a big West Side Story fan.
But no, Amber Tamblyn actually threw David Cross under the bus when he got Me Too'd, because she is automatically believe all women.
Are they still married?
Yeah, they're still together. Matter of fact, let me confirm that. But that's
so that's
let me see.
You throw your spouse under the bus,
but they have kids together. Let me make sure. Let me see if they're still together. I'm checking. Yeah, they've been together since they've been married since 2012, but they were together. Yeah, they have one daughter, Marlo Alice Cross. Okay, so Amber Tamblyn, who was on what was that show with Joan of Arcadia?
Yeah, I never watched it.
Yeah. Now they were trying to trick people. Hold up, Sandy Duncan has a glass. I remember
she does. She does.
Yeah, and
I used to watch Hogan's Family. That was one of those. I don't know if it was on, or like they used to rerun it in the afternoon. After I don't remember, but I can't remember what time it was on.
David Cross got Me Too'd a couple years ago, and his wife, she was like, he needs to be held accountable. And that's why he actually stopped apologizing. He stopped trying to. Because he was like, hey.
Well, did he say something? I guess they moved on from it, obviously, if they're still together.
Well, I mean, I don't think he was offended by what she said. They talked, and then she put out a public statement saying that she had, that these women need to be taken when they come forward. The bravery that it takes to come forward, and all women need to be believed. And I've talked about on Sexy Party, I got Me Too'd when I was in high school.
Really?
Girl. Yeah, there was a woman that I was dating, and all of a sudden we broke up, and I was walking through the
Like you were
halls.
dating an older woman, or
No, it
okay?
was I was older than her by
I get
like
when you say high school and then say woman, I assume it's like an older woman, but so a girl.
okay, well, yeah. So she was the opposite sex, and but I was like I'm like 2
Just
years older. I
clarifying.
was like 18, she was 16, and we broke up. We dated for like about 7 weeks or so. You know how high school relationships are,
Sure.
and all I got was some like underboob, and that wasn't very, I didn't get very much, but I was walking down the hall in my school, and I noticed people were like, I'd be walking, and all of a sudden you get that weird feeling when someone stops and they're whispering and they're talking about you. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I have a feeling these people are discussing me, and I didn't know what was going on. So all of a sudden, my buddy Larry, we were at the lunch table, and my buddy Larry, his girlfriend Juanita, they were. I was in a private school, and we had dorms, so she was in the
In high
same dorm.
school?
It was a state run school. It was a Tennessee Preparatory.
Wild.
Yeah, but they've shut it down actually now. But yeah, I went to Tennessee Preparatory School, and that school had ran for like 100 years, and then I left, and then it was costing so much money to run the school, and the governor, it was Governor Sunquist. He just said, "Hey, this is costing way too much money." So at that point, he was like, "It's just we would save so much more money if we just shut the school down and stop having these kids come from all across the state and go there." So, but Juanita came up and she said, "Hey, I gotta tell you something," and I was like, "Uh-oh, what's going on?" And at that point, she told me that my ex now had told some people that we were kind of alone making out. We were at Hardee's. I remember I had gotten her a job. I was working at Hardee's. I had an off-campus job, and she needed a job. And so I talked to my boss, and I brought her application and stuff, and she got the job. They hired her. They was like, we're going to hire her just because Antonio. So I got her hired. And then she decided she didn't want to be with me. She was like, I can't keep working here because, I'm not messing with Antonio no more. So it's awkward. And, but when, one of the last times we worked together, we kind of made out in the back in the break room where they had all the backstock, the cups and all that stuff. Back there making out. And they were coming to pick us up and take us back to campus. And, I was back there, grabbing her ass and doing all that kind of stuff. And she told some people at the school that she thought I was going to rape her if the guy hadn't came back and told us that our ride was there. She said that. She said, "Oh my God, he got so excited. I thought he was going to rape me." And that happened. And all of a sudden it started going around the school that I was a rapist.
Yeah, that you hear that word and people go, yeah, it's like becomes very serious.
Because I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, why is everybody looking at me weird? I'm like, it was, we only had like 300 students. It was a small school. And I'm walking down the hall and I'm talking teachers, people are talking. And
so what happened?
Well, like I said, once Juanita dropped this bomb out, I said, whoa, that's serious. I go to her. I said,
yeah, that's serious.
I go and talk to her. I said, hey, did you tell people that you thought I was going to rape you? No, I didn't say that. I was like, there's a lot of details about what happened, and we were the only two in that break room, and they had specific details about what had happened between us. So there were only two people there. So I knew.
Was she mad at you?
I don't know. I thought we broke up on good terms. It was her idea to break up.
Is it possible that she felt scared?
Yeah. Well, either way.
I don't know. But
I think she was, a little blonde girl, and I think my Negro powers intimidated her. And so she said that, she's like, oh my God, we were kissing, and I think he got really worked up. I thought he was gonna rape me. And for the next few weeks, the school year was almost over. And, I tried, like I said, I tried to talk to her and work everything out. And I just, the whole thing was messed up. It was
At
the
least
whole.
it was the end of the school year, I guess.
Yeah, it
Got
was
out of there.
like that last like 6-7 weeks. I actually talked to some members of the staff and stuff, and I was like, "Look, this isn't true. We definitely were back there because I was a senior."
Did it affect any of your actual friendships?
No,
like people that you actually cared about?
Well, no, I only had a handful of friends at school. I didn't have very many. I wasn't very popular, so it's like I was never. That's like my brother was always my brother had like 50 friends. It's like I might have like 6. Out of all the students,
I never had a lot of friends.
I wasn't very popular, so so that was one thing. And like I said, I tried to talk to her a few times. She always lied and said she didn't say anything. But I'm like, bitch, I know you lying, because there were only 2 of us in the room.
And everybody is telling me this.
Yeah, it's going around. And then other people in her dorm was like, oh yeah, because she actually they had the dorm parents there, people that would watch us, when we were out of school and stuff. They actually lived on the campus with us. And her dorm parents, I remember they talked to my dorm parents. The whole thing was going on. So I was, like I said, I knew she was a lying little cunt, but that's okay. She put that stuff out there. And again, the whole thing is she thought I was going to rape her. She thought I was going to rape her, and no, not an actual rape. So it was very interesting what happened. But like I said, I'm sure she's got like 4 babies now or whatever.
Right. She moved on with her life.
See, that's why I'm saying. So
Maybe.
It's like when that's why sometimes I don't always do the Me Too thing, because I know from firsthand experience that just because a woman says something, it was not, it's not 1,000 times true all the time. But that's, and again, that's why I thought with David Cross and Amber Tamblyn, I thought that was strange that she actually, did the whole, hey, believe all women thing. And, he needs to be, if he had done these actions in the past, even though I love him and he's my husband, I'm not going to stand by him on this. But he obviously cucked out because they're still together now and they're raising their daughter. So, I mean, but I found, I always find it very strange when people that are ultra woke get, they get found out to be, wearing blackface and stuff like that, which, again, this aired on network television, this Arrested Development episode, that they all of a sudden are like, oh my God.
Which episode? I'm honestly, I'm blanking. Was it on Arrested Development?
You'd have to Google it, because like I said, I think they removed it from Netflix.
I have them all on. I own the DVDs.
Oh, you own them on DVDs, okay. But yeah, I know they took it from the streaming service. They took
okay. Back to Designing Women then, because I still want. We're not done talking about that episode.
No, I did. Yeah, I want to. That's where I was going, because we're talking about blackface again. So that's
bringing it back.
That's why I was like, yeah, the whole thing about blackface and all this. This is why you go back to Mr. Ultra Woke liberal Linda Bloodsworth Thomason,
right?
And they this is why I say sometimes to my more liberal friends that a lot of times, because I get asked all the time why I'm conservative. And I've noticed that a lot of liberals, the mainstream will say that there is no such thing as racism when it comes to liberals. Only conservatives are racist. This episode of Designing Women was very telling. The blackface was an aside. It was nothing. They made throwaway. They even mentioned
they did have a teaching moment.
Yeah.
Kind of. With first it's Julia, Dixie Carter, and Annie Potts like, you can't do that, Suzanne. That's blackface.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. And they give her a little 5-second history of blackface. And then Anthony, Meshack Taylor. No
longer with us, which is unfortunate. But
I forgot about that.
I thought he, maybe I'm wrong. I thought he is no longer.
Sure?
Yeah, now I have to look. I thought.
So, okay, here's the other thing about the Anthony character. That's the Meshach Taylor character. Anthony.
June 28th, 2014, he died. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay, so like Don Cheadle on Golden Palace, he's the black guy with these 4 white Southern women who he's their delivery van driver and just does hell of shit for Suzanne all the time.
And he mentioned on the episode that he had been in prison. So I'm assuming
that's his backstory. Like they hired him. They were like, the very first thing was kind of like a black man from prison. And it's Anthony, I don't know. He's just like so kind of nerdy. But anyway, so he always has these prison stories. But he's like, yeah, they're black man. And so they have the Anthony character.
Yeah, they actually own him. That's what I was like.
They have his character then go, well, and counter Julia, the Annie Potts and Dixie Carter. He counters and goes, well, she's not doing Al Jolson blackface. She's just trying to look like a Supreme. And they have him say that.
His role is to be the Black Shield. I've noticed, especially in late 70s and 80s television, that is when you would see these shows with all white cast and they would have the one black person.
Yeah.
That black person would often be there to act as the Black Shield. So what the Black Shield has done, and there's a lot of video bloggers and stuff on YouTube and stuff that they'll talk about stuff like this. The Black Shield is there to act as a shield for white society. The Black Shield is there it's like if they want to say, say they want to bring out crime statistics and you don't want to have a white person go, blacks kill more black people than whites kill blacks. So then you have the black character say these statistics. So then they go, oh, it can't be racist because the black person said it.
Right. And Anthony just basically straight up says, no. In this case, it's okay, guys.
I don't know any black people that are his age that did not know that blackface is offensive. I don't know any black person that would know that would not know that. And they kind of played it. Was his character gay as well? Because it seemed
his character is not gay. No. And he ends up dating this like really dumb
because when I was looking up the history of designing women, they won a few GLAAD awards. So it was
he's not gay.
Okay, so his character, I'm sitting there going, okay, he's black. They said he was in prison. And I was like,
I don't think they really do any gay stuff.
He was a gay guy on Mannequin. That's where I saw him. He was with when that was the first. He was in Mannequin, and he was the only original cast member of Mannequin. Mannequin was a hit movie. Kim Cattrall and what was the guy? Oh damn!
And no, not
because he was in like Class and stuff. I remember
Matthew McCarty. What's his name?
Andrew McCarty.
Andrew
McCarty. Okay, yeah, and I loved him because he was one of my favorite actors in the 80s. And I used to see when he was in Weekend at Bernie's and all this kind of stuff. So Andrew was in the first Mannequin, and the girl was apparently they had plastiques in ancient Egypt. She got turned into which that's another weird. That was weird. You got a white woman in Egypt.
Right.
Like 1,000 years ago.
Pale, blonde hair.
Yeah, and you got a white woman in Egypt that's a princess. And she got turned into the statue because she didn't want to marry this guy or whatever her father was trying to, had made these arrangements with. But Meshach Taylor was the flamboyant black friend in Mannequin. So that was his thing. He was playing, that's how they used to do. There's another movie with C. Thomas Howell called Soul Man. Soul Man, where he was taking tanning pills, and this movie is super offensive to.
I've never seen it from beginning to end. He was taking pills. Pills,
and he took pills to make himself into a black person so that he could get a minority scholarship into this school. So
I thought he was just painting.
He took a self tanning pill. He took an extra dose to make himself into a black. Matter of fact, they asked him about this because people started getting offended by it. All of a sudden, black
started getting offended.
Yeah, because this was a few years ago, and he was laughing at it. He's like, "Man, you guys," he's like, "That movie made that movie 30 years ago, And yeah, I get it that it wouldn't be made now, but yeah, it had Ray Dawn Chong, Tommy Chong's daughter, from Cheech and Chong. Ray Dawn Chong was in. She was the black girl that he fell in love with in Soul Man. But he was like, they even put on a Jerry curl wig. He had like a weird Jerry curl wig.
I can visualize him. I just never, Man, like, if it was on, I'd just skip
people
it.
Had thought this was, I've talked about this movie and they thought it was a joke. And then you go and find YouTube clips and they go, holy shit, you're telling the truth. Soul Man.
They used to show it on the cable movie channels all the fucking time.
Yeah, this is literally blackface, where the guy is taking tanning pills and they put the Jerry curl wig on him. And not only is he wearing blackface, he's taking a job from he's taking a scholarship from someone who's actually black.
So what's the upshot at the end? She falls in love with him and like forgives him for doing this shit? Or
she's mad at him when she finds out the truth. You mean you a white boy? Oh my God! All that kind of thing. And then they have to wake. They have to go through the whole thing. Yes, but I also remember her with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. She was the love interest in Commando. Which was written by what's the guy? The Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb was
the comic book guy.
Yes, that was one of I think he didn't write the original script. They brought him in for rewrites, but he had wrote Teen Wolf. He did Teen Wolf.
Did he do that before he did comic books, or did he do comic books?
Oh yeah, that was a Hollywood thing way before comic books.
Oh, I know nothing about him. I mean, I just know the name.
I didn't start seeing his name until like around 1990 or so, 89, 90. And then he started being at Marvel big time. And then he jumped from Marvel to DC. And I think he wrote some stuff at Image as well. But Jeff Loeb wrote Commando, or he did rewrites on Commando. He also did Teen Wolf. I think he may have been involved with Teen Wolf 2, who had a name we brought in before, because Michael J. Fox didn't want to do Teen Wolf 2. And they brought in Justin Bateman to play his cousin.
Jason, yeah.
Yeah, they played cousin. Teen Wolf 2 was awful.
Same affliction.
Yeah, Teen Wolf 2 was awful. But this whole thing, like I said, a movie like Soul Man would never, ever, ever, it would never, ever, ever get made. Let's see, Jessica Carter said, I grew up in Yankee, then moved to New Orleans and felt like white and black are more kin and more respectful of differences in the South. I would say, here's my experience. I feel like, I don't know if you hear about Southern hospitality. Here it is. Blacks and whites just seem to have a different way of living together. In the South, they go, "Oh, that guy's racist," and they go, "Hey, John," it's that kind of thing. This is what I've noticed happens, at least from Black society. They go, "Oh, that guy's racist." Okay, hi, John, how you doing? Shake your hand, whoa, 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 and then they might have to, do some work together or whatever, and then they just go and then you have this segregation where we live in separate neighborhoods, we go to separate churches, we go to separate schools. And then, so we live a very segregated lifestyle, where you would see, that's why a lot of people were giving shows like Friends so much blowback, because they go, it's set up in New York and you never see black people. It's
the biggest smell. If you've ever walked the streets of New York, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, and that's why I often make the joke about Friends that it's a perfect world. And my white friends go, perfect world. Yeah. No black people. It's a perfect world.
I know. You said that to me. I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's a perfect world. That's why I was like, that's. I
was like, I fucking hate that shit. What do you mean?
It's a perfect world. It has no black people. So it's a perfect world. Matter of fact, they made a big stink. What was it? Aisha Tyler or Taylor that's on the Chew or the Talk or whatever that is.
Yeah.
They made a big deal. They go, there's finally a black friend. And they had Joey in the storyline with her.
Yeah, like she wasn't a regular, right?
Yeah, she was just on for that season and they got rid of her.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. She's a black shield. That goes back to designing women. That's why I was like, a lot of times when you would have like shows like Three's Company, the black guy would show up. They even did a very special. I watched the old episode of Andy Griffith, and they had a black guy show up that was going to, he apparently had been an NFL player or something, and he grew up in Mayberry, and he decided he will, even though his pro career is over, he decided he wanted to come home to Mayberry. And so he was the only black guy in the entire town. As the latter episodes of Andy Griffith went on, I started, when they do the crowd shots, they started having black people in the crowds. But Mayberry again was a perfect world. There were no minorities there. Dukes of Hazzard, when they would have and that's Hazard County, Kentucky. And,
talking about Confederate flags.
And then but I actually don't think shows like, I love Dukes of Hazzard when I was a kid.
So did I. That was the show you watched when you were homesick from school, or like it was always on in the afternoon.
Hazard, he had a Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox, and that's when they used to actually make them with metal. They they used to make them with metal and stuff. So it's I was like, I love Dukes of Hazzard. The only time I would see blacks on the show was like when they would have the villain of the week. So a couple times there was I remember I was watching the episode, and there was the two villains, and one was white and one was black. So I was like, oh, okay. For the most part,
I can't remember seeing any black people on Dukes of Hazzard ever. I'm like,
those horrible cousins. When they had the cousins come in on Dukes of Hazzard, I was like, okay. Because, Tom Wopat and what was the guy? He was on Smallville.
Tom Wopat, he did some Broadway in his later years.
He was Bo Duke. Or was he Luke Duke? He was Luke Duke. I'm gonna get you.
I don't remember who was who.
But that's the only time you would see bad guys on Dukes of Hazzard. You would see black guys. They would have them be like, there were no black people didn't live in Hazard County. That was just the way it was. It was just they have, you watch shows, but that's the thing. I'm used to watching, when I watch television, I'm used to, especially older, like you watching TV Land, but Bonanza and stuff like that.
Right.
Gunsmoke, and they had a couple of episodes with what was it? They had a Native American on there, and it was Don Johnson that played the Native American. They put bronzer on him. It was Don Johnson. I
guess that's where he got the itch to remain bronzed his whole life.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Don Johnson.
I love a good tan.
And then what was they did Bonanza, and they had the mail order bride come in for one of the brothers or whatever, and she was there was an Indian chick. It was Marlo Thomas that's married to Phil Donahue.
She had dark hair.
But a lot of those old like Cowboys and Indians movies, they would just, instead of actually hiring a Native American, it wasn't like they didn't exist. They just would be like, oh, okay, what's that guy name? There was one guy that used to play Indians all the time. He was an Italian dude. He's like Vic. Actually, he might have been Jewish. Vic no, I can't remember his name. But they would just put bronzer on. He was in movies with like John Wayne and stuff. He must have played Indians at least in a dozen or so movies.
If you looked cultural or something, they just put some makeup on you and
bronzer on you, and that's
put you out there.
So that's the thing. So when even on shows like Different Strokes or Webster, the main characters are the Black Shield. So the main character is set up as the Black Shield. So they will deal with questions. Matter of fact, there's a very famous episode of Different Strokes where Dabney Coleman, who I love Dabney Coleman. He was always one of my favorite actors in the 70s and 80s. Dabney Coleman's brilliant.
He's hilarious.
And Dabney Coleman, there was an old show called Buffalo Bill he used to be on. Let me see. Antonio, I feel triggered by your use of controversial titles. I think you need to check your privilege.
Like titles for the show, or
and see, this is the thing. I knew that my use of Ask a Negro would trigger people. And Bob, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep speaking. And you check your white privilege at the door when you come to my chat, please. Thank you. And also watch the Wrestling Council with Comic Book Bob and myself and Yule, who I don't know which version of Yule we would get. We would get regular Yule or Dark Universe Yule. Dark Universe Yule has made an appearance the last few streams we've done. And obviously Boogie Bentley, who will be hosting Talking on the Talking Balls Network.
It's probably because he's back to work normally, going back to the store on a more normal basis. The darkness comes out. But
yeah, that's I would say even a character like as far as like Black Shields, I would even say a character like B.A. Baracus on the A-Team. He was the only black guy on that show. But they didn't handle racial issues that much on it was a couple of times where they had a white guy afraid of BA, but were they afraid of him because he was black, or was they afraid of him because he was BA?
Right.
Yeah, because he was like, BA was always meant to be the tough guy. He's always meant to be, I pity the fool, you sucker. I'm not getting on no plane, Hannibal. I'm not getting on no plane. He's doing that whole thing.
Yeah.
And, but that's the thing. And so like when you look at the way a lot of these shows where the black person is inserted into a primarily white cast, i.e. Meshack Taylor on Designing Women, although he don't have no problem with it because he got paid for 163 episodes.
Yes, and I believe he's in pretty much every single one too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's in every episode. So he's like, so when he goes, when they do the thing and he goes, well, it's not big white circle around your mouth, blackface. He's not doing Al Jolson.
He's totally clarifying it and like backing up Suzanne with her idea.
But see, that is Linda Bloodsworth Thompson and her husband. That is them sitting down and going, I'm sure they probably had to talk to him and go, yeah, obviously we're liberals, we love the Clintons. So we're going to do blackface, but it's not meant to be racist. And so we need you to say this.
Okay. So they're having this conversation and they want, are they doing this storyline because they want to have a conversation about blackface, or are they doing it because they want to put Suzanne in blackface and dark makeup and have this joke? Like, what's
I think it's the latter, based on,
and then they have to figure out how to make it okay.
I wanted to make sure. I watched it twice.
Yeah.
I watched it the first run through just to make sure. Okay, so that time first you just watched it initially. Because like I said, it was only 22 and a half minutes. So I was like, fuck it, I can watch it twice. So I watched it. I watch it. I'll sit through. The episode is about the pregnant lady getting beat by her dumbass husband.
Yeah, they also have a scene where they sit down and talk domestic abuse stats.
Yeah,
it's that sort of show, everyone.
Oh, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's always a teaching moment.
Yeah,
in that fucking show.
Weird. They're trying to be funny, and then they literally start reading statistics of abuse.
Yeah, so you're like, what?
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, they're doing the jokes and they go, statistically more women are. I was like, what?
A woman is getting her ass beat right now as we sit here talking about this.
And then they mention all it, and then the woman shows up and she's wearing these like Stevie Wonder shades. She's wearing the shades,
but you can still kind of see some of the bruise coming out. You have to see that.
Because at this point, the audience is let in on the fact that, this is, what do they call it? The unreliable narrator type of perspective, where the audience has already been let in on the fact that this woman is being beaten by her husband horribly. And the blonde woman has already set up the fact, not only this particular incident where, one thing I noticed was funny. Not only did he knock the food down, she had made him dinner and had it in the oven. I want my dinner on the table when I come home.
Yeah,
so on the floor. He's going off on her, and then he smacks the food and breaks. And he says, "You clean it up, and then you're going to eat it." That was weird. It was
very degrading. Yeah, they pushed it like they wanted to make sure that he was a piece of garbage.
And
but young Delta was, I think she was Miss Georgia.
This is Delta. I thought
I'm gonna look it up right now. She was Miss something.
I think she had been a Miss Florida.
Florida?
I thought she had been Miss Florida. But yeah, she had been in the 70s. She had won a beauty pageant. And then, obviously, Designing Women is when she started, because when she started the show, she was coming off First and 10, and she was still smoking hot, and then she ballooned up. She got super fat. And then
they do an episode where she has a reunion, and she hears, of course, them all talking about how she's like fat and all this, and then she has this very emotional speech where she just, I'm happy and blah blah blah. It's another one of the. It's Designing Women.
Delta Burke actually got fired from Designing Women. She apparently she started complaining that she wasn't getting paid enough on the show, because she was supposed to be the main star of the show. And then obviously they bring in Dixie Carter. Dixie Carter was coming off Different Strokes. She left her.
That's right. She was on Different Strokes.
Yeah, and then they recast her on Different Strokes. It was.
Is Benson a Black Shield as well?
Benson is definitely a Black Shield. Benson is the original Black Shield. Benson started out as the butler on Soap. He was on Soap, and that's where Billy Crystal was on that show as a Jewish.
He was was he the ventriloquist as well? Oh no, the son was. Anyway,
but he was a gay guy on Soap, and that was the first. That was the first time they had an openly gay character on television.
Yes.
Which that's why I'm laughing when we get all woke now. It's like, oh, it's a breakthrough for LGBT. And I was like, that show, Soap, was out on in like 77, 78. And Billy Crystal was a gay guy on Soap on network television. That was 40 years ago.
Who was the Empty Nest Mulligan? What's that guy's name?
Oh, Richard Mulligan.
Him and Catherine Hellman. Mona from Who's the Boss was on.
Yeah. They were all on Soap. And Soap.
And Benson.
So they decided, Soap was coming near towards an end, and so they decided that Robert Guillaume, who is like theater trained and a brilliant actor, and we just lost him, I think, a year ago. He had a stroke a few years ago, but he managed to survive. But rest in peace to Robert Guillaume. I always loved him. I remember he pissed people off when they hired him on a Broadway show to play Phantom of the Opera, and at that time they said they had never had an African American actor portray the Phantom of the Opera. So, like, it matters who plays that character. Anyway, yeah, but he was getting all kind of nasty letters and stuff when they still had to send letters to people. He was getting like nasty letters and comments and stuff. There wasn't social media then, but he was the first Black person to play the Phantom of the Opera, and it pissed some people off. He was on like a Broadway or whatever. And that's a weird one to get pissed off at. That's confusing. Anyway, yeah, because he talked about ridiculousness of it all. It's like when they go, okay, we're gonna do Annie, and this time we're gonna make Annie a Black girl. An episode like the first episode of Boston Legal deals with that. Yeah, that was one of those they were doing ripped from the headlines. I think maybe even before Law and Order made it their thing to do ripped from the headlines, and they would take stuff that was actually going on in the news. So David E. Kelly, who I'm a big fan of, he's super woke, he's super liberal. Him and Michelle Pfeiffer are married and they got kids, and they've been married for like 30 years. I mean, she used to date Michael Keaton and Al Pacino. She used to date all these guys. That was like Michelle Pfeiffer, she used to. I guess she stopped switching it up when she stopped kind of working mainly. Or does she still work? Matter of fact, she did a television show on HBO last year, I thought. Okay. She was like a million little or something. Yeah, but she's not working. She's not super working, but she takes acting jobs. She did something on HBO last year. And I still love Michelle Pfeiffer. She made a cameo on Ally McBeal when her husband was running that show. David E. Kelly had Ally McBeal. And they never announced it. That was so funny. I was watching Ally McBeal, and all of a sudden I said, holy shit, that's Michelle Pfeiffer. And then it just went to the next scene. They just said, hey, Michelle Pfeiffer. And then all of a sudden the next week it was on Entertainment Tonight that Michelle Pfeiffer had made an appearance on Ally McBeal. It's like, they were like, oh, because they never announced that Michelle Pfeiffer was, because she's a big star. She's a movie star, yeah. And it was like, but she's married to David E. Kelly, LA Law. Which I loved LA Law. LA Law was great. My grandparents, I remember watching LA Law because that was the show. Like, we used to be like kind of in charge of the TV, but they watched LA Law. So we watched LA Law. But yeah, so like I love David E. Kelly shows, Picket Fences, which I've raved about. Again, Don Cheadle had a contract with CBS where they would have to give him work. So he got the role in Picket Fences. He was brilliant on Picket Fences. Got nominated for I beat the brains off young Michelle. Yeah, she was. Yeah, watch it. What about the Michelle Pfeiffer in Grease too? She wants a cool writer. Yeah, it was terrible. Grease 2 should have never been made. But that's the thing. So at that point, she showed up. But Boston Public, I love Boston. Yeah, Boston Public. Let me see here. All the shows I watched from him. LA Law, Boston Public, Boston Legal, The Practice. Let's see, LA Law, Boston Public, Boston Legal.
I didn't watch as much Practice, but
I watched every episode.
My mom watched it religiously, so it was always on.
Chicago Hope.
Oh, Chicago Hope.
Chicago Hope.
Mandy Patinkin was on Chicago Hope, right?
Yeah,
he's one of my faves. Love Mandy Patinkin.
He was on there. He got nominated for Emmys, and then he
always does like one season and he cuts. He's like, I don't even do this. I'm out of here.
He has a reputation of being very difficult to work with.
He's a Broadway guy. Like, he's an actor. He doesn't need to do this shit.
He did come back.
He did. He did a few episodes of Criminal Minds towards the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. He's on Homeland. This is the final season here. Which Homeland, I thought he had left. It looked like he had left Homeland for like half a season or whatever. It was like, or he just didn't want to work as much or something. But Homeland, especially those first few seasons of Homeland, is brilliant. Homeland's incredible, and then it kind of it got a little wild. But I love David E. Kelly shows. But like I said, Picket Fences was another David E. Kelly show, which that's where I saw Don Cheadle for the first time. I had no idea that he had been on the Golden Palace. I had no idea, and I saw the clips of the controversial Confederate. Every time he actually said, every time you hold that Confederate flag up, he says it's like a Nazi thing or something. He actually said that on the episode, and I was like, yeah, it was weird. But that's the thing. He's there to be the Black Shield. Those characters are there so that they can do things. They can do things or say things that might be considered offensive or racist. But then they go, oh, so that's why when you do the Designing Women episode,
it's so obvious.
Meshack is like, oh, it's blackface, but it's not white. Yeah, and you're not tap dancing and eating watermelon blackface.
So it's okay. He doesn't say it's okay, but he basically says it's okay. And just so that at the end of the episode, Suzanne shows up late, and guess what?
She's
in blackface, to be one of the Supremes, and she has a duet with Anthony doing Mickey and Sylvia.
And that's the thing. So that part was really weird, because by that part where they're setting up this segment, he had come to the conclusion, hey, this is offensive. Matter of fact, the one Dixie Carter's character, she actually called the NAACP, and because she was like, I'll just ask some Negroes if it's okay if we wear blackface so this, you can tell that a black person didn't write this.
Right. Obviously.
And I've seen there was someone, I saw there was a YouTuber, and they found some old photos of him with blackface, and he said, well, I'm not racist, and I talked to my black friend, and my black friend said that it was okay that I wear the blackface. So they got permission from another Negro to wear the blackface.
Because of course that friend speaks for
it is like they speak for all black society. And that's when you do stuff like that, that gets strange, because my black friend, I have black friends. It's let's see. Wouldn't Link from the Mod Squad be the original Black Shield? He would definitely be. Clarence Williams III would definitely be the original Black Shield. He would definitely be the original Black Shield.
We might be able to go back even further to find like the original, the OG originals.
Yeah. Link from Mod Squad is definitely a Black Shield character. I would definitely say that, because whenever they need him to be and the Black Shield can always do things that might be considered racist to white people. That's what I've noticed. They give the Black Shield character Negro powers, where he can say offensive things to white people, but then when the white person says something offensive, that's when they brought Louise Jefferson or Weezy Jefferson in. A lot of people forget she was the maid on All in the Family. That's what they brought her, and they were planning on setting up the Jeffersons. This is Norman Lear Norman Lear, they were planning on setting up the Jeffersons, so they brought her in as the maid in the Jeffersons, and then her husband George Jefferson, he was trying to get his dry cleaning business off, and obviously he set it up where they could leave. You know, it's like, hey, my business is successful. You ain't got to be a maid no more, Weezy.
As the theme song explains.
Yes. So yeah, everybody forgets Louise Jefferson was the maid on All in the Family, and then that's what they
What did Edith do all day? Why'd they need a fucking maid?
got on. They just
to set up the spinoff, I guess. Like what?
Like
really?
Like she said,
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some like underground comic that was called Black Shield.
Yeah, well, Moscow was 1968.
And I can't either, Bob. I just wouldn't be surprised if like there was some show from like.
Well, I'm trying to remember that. What was that show, Dinah or whatever? I'm trying to remember. There was she was the first Black actor to headline the show. I think they said Michelle Nichols was the first Black actor on a primetime network show because she was Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And she was gonna quit, and she's told the story. I don't know how much of her story is true though. She's told the story a million times. Although I'm trying to remember if she's still alive. I don't know if Michelle Nichols is still alive with us or not. But she told the story that she was going to quit Star Trek, which everybody forgets. The reason she got her job on Star Trek was because she was fucking Gene Roddenberry. That's true. He was sleeping with her and several other women, including Majel Barrett, who was the nurse on the show. Majel Barrett with the little short skirt. Majel Barrett was also sleeping with him.
They all had short skirts.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Gene Roddenberry was sleeping. He'd get Me Too now because Michelle Nichols was sleeping with him. Majel Barrett, who ended up marrying him, becoming Majel Barrett Roddenberry, and they had like at least one son together, if I'm not mistaken. But Majel Barrett, she was sleeping with Gene Roddenberry. Gene Roddenberry was just banging the chicks that was on the show. This is what men would do in Hollywood. But Uhura was not satisfied with, or Michelle Nichols was not happy with her role on Star Trek, and she was going to quit. And she had a conversation with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he told her how inspirational it was to see a colored woman on television each and every week. And it was so important for little Black boys and little Black girls to see a person of color on television every week. And so she goes, oh shit, I'm about to quit this job. Because she was a model. She was going to go back to modeling. And after Martin Luther King talked to her, she realized that playing Uhura was an important role. And so she didn't quit.
I didn't know that.
But I'm trying to remember, is it Diane Carroll? She was the first Black woman to star and actually headline the show. I watched a lot of these, the history of Black television documentaries and stuff like that. So, but that's why, when I go through and you watch all these different shows, especially late 60s, go through the 70s, 80s, where, like say, Benson, who was on Soap, Robert Guillaume, they spun him off. They decided. Now, remember, he's the main character on Benson. The show is built around him.
Yeah, it's called Benson.
But he's the only Black guy on the show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's the only Black guy on the show. And that's the thing. You give a Black guy his show and he's running, he's the main guy, but he's the only Black person on the show. And that's how you would have a Black, Flip Wilson, Flip Wilson didn't have a lot of Black people, a lot of, especially in the writer's room. That's where Alan Thicke was. Alan Thicke from Growing Pains, Robin Thicke's father. Robin Thicke was one of the comedy writers on the Flip Wilson show. There wasn't very many. Alan Thicke.
Robin wasn't born.
Alan Thicke was one of the writers on the Flip Wilson show. He would write a lot of the Geraldines. The devil made me do it. He would do that. So this is he made his money. It was one of his first writing gigs. Alan Thicke was writing on the Flip Wilson show. And this was, I even think like when they did UPN and Eddie Griffin and Malcolm Jamal Warner were on Malcolm and Eddie. That was one of the things that you hear Eddie Griffin talk about. It was on UPN. They were going for that urban audience. But when they said when they walk into the writer's room, there weren't any black people in there writing these black characters. So they felt like sometimes they would have to have these arguments because it became, oh yeah, I Spy with Bill Cosby. Yeah, I Spy. Yes, he's a tennis player and also a spy. Yes, Bill Cosby
doing some research for us.
Thanks, yes. But yeah, that's when you Malcolm Jamal Warner and Eddie Griffith, they had sometimes when they would walk into the writer's room, some of the bits that they would come up with, they felt like I know Eddie Griffith even said he felt like they were writing a minstrel show almost. He felt like that that they had to have a few arguments with some of these white writers and go, hey, you guys are like doing like step and fetch it type stuff. And we want it to be funny, but we don't want it. And this is kind of when you hear Dave Chappelle say the same thing towards the end of Chappelle's show when he decided to leave. They had done a couple of skits, and he said this on Oprah. I remember he looked around, and he said everybody was laughing. He said he noticed the white guys were laughing that were part of the crew and everything. And he said they weren't laughing with us; they were laughing at us. And he felt like he was becoming. He said he started to feel like the show became what he didn't want it to be, where they were writing like minstrel bits or something like that.
Yeah, you're laughing at. Yeah, I totally get it. I remember that interview as well.
Yeah, and it was so Dave Chappelle's talked about that. So like when you have, especially like said in 70s, 80s, and early 90s television, when they would have a black person added to the cast, like I mentioned before, Webster, Different Strokes, these, Different Strokes was built around Arnold and Willis. That was the whole point. But their world is living in a penthouse with a white family.
Yeah.
So when the racist shit happens, which they did a couple of those episodes where, the person like Dabney Coleman was on Different Strokes and he didn't know that Arnold, no, it was Willis. He had the racial incident with Willis. And he did, he thought Willis was there to steal something or whatever. He thought Willis was suspicious and he racially harassed Willis. And then he did not know that Phil Drummond was Willis's father. And he's like, you did that to my... Well, come on, Phil. We didn't know. Hi, how am I supposed to know that that's your son or whatever? What difference would that make? So Phil is put in the position of the white savior, where he is able, the black shield experiences the racism, and then the white savior is able to come in and save that black person. And they're the voice to white society to allow them to know that racism is wrong. That doing harmful things to black people is wrong. So that is their positions on television, and you see this trope on several shows. So there was an episode where the Jeffersons, where this really racist white dude, because a lot of people forget on shows like Archie Bunker and the Jeffersons and on Good Times, all Norman Lear shows, which if I'm not mistaken, they spun. I think they spun that Florida Evans was also Archie Bunker's maid. They just kept hiring black maids, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, how are we going to make a show about a black woman? We'll make her a maid. Spin it off.
Here's another thing that Esther Roll, who played Florida Evans, talked about. They originally were not going to have a father in the home. Norman Lear had set the show up, and they were not going to have a black father on the show, John Amos. They were just going to have her as a single mother. The black father was not in the home. And Esther Roll told her she didn't want to do the show if she was not going to be married. she felt like that was important. You know, even if you're going to portray this family as poor, there needs to be a strong black male in the home. And so they rethought it.
Whole unit of a family. Yeah.
And so they rethought it, and then they brought John Amos in, which they messed around and picked the wrong Negro, because John Amos would get into matter of fact, he's got an interview on Vlad TV where he kind of talked about he was arguing with all those white writers. There was because
that's why he left, right? Like they killed his character off, right?
Wanted more money because they were playing Jimmy Walker. And Jimmy Walker was clearly it's like when Urkel started making more money than everybody else on Family Matters. Yeah, it's like everybody's like, wait a minute. Urkel was supposed to be the side character. And then he became the focus of the show. It's like when you watch the original Simpsons, Homer, Homer wasn't the focus of it was Bart. They set the Simpsons up around Bart. And then they just was like, we don't know what to do with these kids no more. And they started writing Homer episodes. And then
all the early merch was just Bart shirts.
Yeah, it was all Bart shirts.
Man.
Yeah, and that was matter of fact, there were a lot of schools that were telling kids not to, I'm Bart Simpson, who the hell are you? That was one of the shirts. And you could not come to school with Bart Simpson shirts on and stuff. They would send you home. They call your parents. They would call your parents for wearing a shirt that said, who the hell are you? Now you can just walk through the halls and nobody gives a damn. But that tells you, let me see, where they also, I don't think Norman Lear did 227. I don't know who did, because 227 was spun off of, I know the same people that did Amen, I think. There was Sherman Hemsley did a show called Amen, where he was the deacon of this church. And
was there I feel like that was like not a spin-off, but they brought like Amen was later, but it was like the same characters or something, wasn't it?
They definitely did crossover episodes where the characters were on each other's shows.
Okay, how about this question? What about Alfonso Ribeiro on Silver Spoons?
Alfonso Ribeiro is a typical Black Shield. He is a huge Black Shield. He was he's only brought there to sing and dance on. If you notice, a lot of his. Hey, let's be real here. When we talk about Alfonso Ribeiro, that's what he was doing. He was remember coming off of I think the 1984 Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial, and I talked about he had done some stuff for the Olympics, which also Cuba Gooding Jr. had
That's
done.
right. We did. We've talked about him before.
So Alfonso Ribeiro, Pepsi commercial. He got the Silver Spoons job. He's there to be the Black friend and to sing and dance and stuff. That's what he's there for. And then they obviously and when you let me see, Sherman Hemsley was the boss dinosaur. And
was he?
Oh no!
I didn't know that.
You remember the show Dinosaurs where they had?
I remember it. Not the mama.
They had the little baby.
Right?
Yeah, the baby. They were
Not
selling
the
those. Yeah, I was like,
and the end of that show, they all died because extinction. They all become extinct.
Yeah, but I actually thought Dinosaurs was great. A lot of people, I used to love Alf. Kill me.
I watched a lot of Alf as a kid.
But those Alf.
Why?
TV movies, they did like 2 Alf TV movies that were terrible.
Oh, I don't know if I ever saw those.
Yeah, they had to, but
like after the FBI kidnapped him or something.
Yeah, it was crazy. But okay, so you get Alfonso Ribeiro. If you notice, even when he goes to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which is clearly a Black show, it's got a Black cast, and Alfonso Ribeiro is meant to be. He's still being the Black show, the Black Shield on a Black show. Why? Alfonso Ribeiro is set up to be the white. He's supposed to be the coon character. He's supposed to be the guy that's the quote unquote sellout. They even did an episode where the guy called him a sellout. And there's a lot of people that have clipped this up on YouTube where they go, "Why am I a sellout? Because I speak a certain way. I don't talk the way you do." Yeah, that kind of thing. So he actually did. So he set up. He set up as a Black Shield on a Black show.
That's insane.
He's supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be the guy that doesn't fit in with Black society. That's why his dance. Black guys are supposed to be able to dance. He dances like a white guy. That's what the Carlton is. And that was a joke. So he's set up to be he's supposed to be the white black guy. So that's they need someone. The writers are like, okay, we don't want it to be too black because Will Smith, Fresh Prince, he's supposed to be the street guy from Philly. So and then he has his friend Jazzy Jeff. He comes in like that. And yes, I saw Permanent Midnight with Ben Stiller played the guy that created Alf. They had to change.
I've seen that too. I forgot about that movie.
Yes, I've seen that. But Alfonso Ribeiro is, like I said, he's supposed to be the black guy that white people can relate to. That way, when they throw in like social justice stuff, and they talk about they have the racist white guy come in and say something. They'll have Alfonso come in and try to like reason with the white person, whatever. That seemed to be his role. And then when a black person would refer to him as a sellout or Uncle Tom, then he has to have his diatribe about, if I'm educated, why does that make me? Why does that make me?
Well, is that the flip side of that coin, or maybe a controversial question? Is like, okay, he's like the white shield in a black show, but is it also a case of like, this isn't what being black is? This character, you know what I mean? Like like just the other side of that as well.
That's actually deep. When you say that, that's actually deep.
Because they're always making fun of him for that. Like he's like
that's where they can get the jokes off because and even Alfonso said that he was definitely before Will broke out and everybody loved Will, but Will Smith just plays Will Smith in every movie. He's Will Smith in every movie. I'm fighting aliens, but I'm Will Smith.
He's charming, but he's not an actor.
Right. Okay, there's a pandemic virus that has spread throughout the world and destroyed all of humanity, but I'm Will Smith.
I'm gonna take it on.
Yeah, he's Will Smith in every movie. So that's interesting though. But I've noticed that's him. He plays and I've noticed even on modern television when they do it now. What was it? The Unbreakable Will of Kimmy Schmidt.
The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So they have the gay black guy on there. So now he's a double now because he's black and he's gay. So you get a twofer. So I've noticed they do that. They did that on Arrow when they brought a character in to play Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific, who was actually the original Mr. Terrific was white, and then when they reimagined him, they brought him back as a black character. But that black character was straight in the comic books. He was straight and married, and his wife died in the comics, and then so they made him gay on the show. Because Greg Berlanti, who does all the Arrowverse shows, is also gay, and so he likes to he takes characters that are straight and turns them gay. He does a lot of racial swapping of characters and stuff like that. I've noticed he does that, but they made sure that they made Mr. Terrific gay on the show, and his husband was white, so he's gay and he's gay, black, and in an interracial relationship.
Yeah, and on that Kimmy Schmidt, it's that I can't remember the character's name, but he's basically there to like hold her hand and be like, you're a white girl that doesn't fit in. Like, I'll show you what to do. It's weird.
Let's see. We need more characters like Griff from Mary. Does anyone remember? Do you remember Sticks from Happy Days?
No, I don't.
Sticks is a typical black shield. This is Gary Marshall, the brother of Penny Marshall from Laverne and Shirley, and obviously Academy Award nominated director, all that kind of stuff. But Penny Marshall's
isn't it her father?
No, Gary Marshall is her
brother and sister.
Brother. Yeah, it's her older brother. Gary Marshall is her brother, and obviously gave his sister jobs and stuff like that.
How else would she become? Was she Laverne or Shirley? I don't remember.
She was Laverne. She always had the L. She had the L.
Yeah, how else would she become Laverne?
But Gary Marshall, who also did Pretty Woman and different movies like that. But Gary Marshall in television, Happy Days, all this kind of stuff. he decided that he wanted to have Fonzie act as a white savior. So Fonzie had a band. And in the band, they had a drummer named Sticks. So Sticks is he's a black guy that plays the drums and he wears shades. So he's the drummer in Fonzie's band. And at that point, they obviously had to have a very special episode. They had to do a very special episode of Happy Days where remember Happy Days was set in like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. But it was a 70s show. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's set like 20
set in
years.
The 50s, yeah.
So yeah, so someone did not like the fact that Fonzie had a black drummer, and Fonzie had to speak up for him.
Of course, yes.
Fonzie had to, hey, racism is wrong. I was like, hey, so Fonzie.
It's cool not to be racist.
Arthur Fonzarelli. Yeah. So yeah, Arthur Fonzarelli had to let everybody know that.
Was this in the later seasons?
Yeah, when
the Jump the Shark season.
That's the thing, Fonzie. It's very close to that. Actually, it's very close to jumping because remember, Fonzie wasn't the star of the show originally. It was supposed to be Richie. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be what's his name? Ron Howard. That was So Richie, let me see. Okay, Monkey Jeebus. I met Henry Winkler when I was wearing a shirt with his face on it, calling him a pussy.
That's specific.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah. If you have a photo of that, please tweet it to me. I would very much like to see that. If he took a photo,
he's pretty funny on Arrested Development too. I'll just throw that in there.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of that show, anyway.
Let me see. Who are some of your favorite black characters?
Just all encompassing. Let's see.
Okay. I definitely love B.A. Baracus on the A-Team. And I'm just gonna do television because I obviously throw Lando Calrissian in there or something like that. Because he was the only Negro in space, which was awesome. And to think you're the only black person in space.
I'm terrible at getting. I hate lists.
But let me see. I definitely would say BA. I would also say, let's see. I was a big fan of the Fresh Prince. And let's see. Let's see. I'm starting going.
No one's allowed to say Dr. Huxtable anymore.
I was a Theo guy. Theo was my dude on the Cosby Show. Yeah, Theo. Malcolm Jamal, and I thought they were going to Carl Weathers, Street Justice. And matter of fact, what's the name? Is it not Avery? The guy who played Cisco on Star Trek Speed Space Nine, he was Hawk on Spencer for Hire. He was it Avery Johnson? Not Avery Johnson. Damn. Who played Cisco? Who played Cisco on Star Trek Deep Space Nine?
Shit, I don't
Avery
know.
Brooks. Avery Brooks. I loved him on Hawk or Spencer for Hire, and then they did A Man Called Hawk, and he was too jive turkey-ish on A Man Called Hawk, which is why it only lasted for like a season and a half or whatever. A Man Called Hawk, he was just too militant, and I don't think America was quite ready for a black guy to be militant, do all that and be that guy. Mm-hmm. So, but he worked on Spencer for Hire. Loved Philip Michael Thomas on Miami Vice. Everybody, he was so non-threatening though. A lot of people forget he was black, and he's black. Philip Michael Thomas or Philip Michael Thomas on Miami Vice. He's him and Crockett and Tubbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crockett and Tubbs on Miami Vice. They were the coolest brothers on. That was a Saturday night show. That aired on Saturday nights. I remember watching Miami Vice on Saturday nights.
Like, you wish you could go out driving in these cars. Instead, you're watching it on TV.
Yeah, these cops had the biggest budget of any police department because they're riding around in luxury vehicles and all this. I'm like, yo, these guys are balling. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, the design. And I mean, they were having I think they had Armani and
Oh, I'm sure. What? Yeah, the top, the best.
Yeah, they had Hugo. I know Hugo Boss and stuff. They had like some top notch designers that were that actually cut their teeth on doing work for television shows. So, but yeah, Philip Michael Thomas on Miami Vice was definitely one. And then I love Don Cheadle's character on Picket Fences. I can't remember his name, but he left. He left after like the third season. But I loved him. I loved because he wasn't there to buck his eyes. He was there to actually brought a lot to the show. I thought because like when I watch a show like Ally McBeal, she had her little her black friend. Ally McBeal's best friend was a black woman, and she was the sassy black woman. That's always. And I don't
remember Ally McBeal too much. I didn't watch her at the time.
I'm not trying to shit on David E. Kelly, but he clearly brought that woman in to be the sassy black woman, and she could sing. She was someone that had played in like Little Shop of Horrors on Broadway and stuff like that. And she had done all these different black, Hairspray. I think she had been in not Hairspray, Dreamgirls and different. She'd been working on primarily on black. I can't remember that woman's name, but she had.
I'm going to look it up because I want to know who it is now.
Yeah, but her job on Ally McBeal was to be the sassy black girl. That was her role. And we still see that now. That's why I'm saying like Kimmy Schmidt, that brother that the gay brother.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Sassy. He's there to be sassy. He's gay and black, so he's sassy. He's automatic. That's what he's there for. That's his job function, to be the and let the I'm gonna let these white folks know. Look on. They did the same thing with that character. What was her name? Michelle, the black girl on Glee.
I only watched like season 1 of that. It's hard to remember that show.
The black one. Man, I can't remember, but she was there. Because she got upset because the main white girl. She was always getting the lead roles and stuff. I can sing better than her. And they were having sing-offs and all. She's there to be, sassy black girl.
Leah Michelle's been called out during this whole like speaking out Me Too.
Yeah, she called her out a couple months ago, and I saw some people were going in on old girl. Matter of fact, I gotta find her name because I want to actually have her name out there. So let me see, Glee
TV cast.
So let me see. I need to look the cast, and her name is Amber Riley. Mercedes. She played Mercedes Jones.
Okay.
So Mercedes is there to be the sassy black girl. That's her job. She's there. Martin did reverse Black Shield. They had the hip white guy.
I do like Tisha Campbell.
Yeah, but they had the hip white guy that worked at WZUP with Martin. Remember, that's where he worked at first. Garrett Morris was the station manager, and he had his engineer was the hip white guy. He would be like, he'd be trying to do the black talk and do all like that. That was his thing. I think he had been on Seinfeld and stuff too, but that's his bit. But obviously, Tommy, you ain't got no job. The whole thing. Martin was crazy. Shanae, all that kind of thing. Some people didn't like Martin because I've seen some people try to cancel Martin now because they don't like his portrayal of the character of Shanae. Lucy Cute Nurse said the only thing I remember from Ally McBeal was.
I was thinking about that earlier. That was such a huge thing.
This feeling.
I was like.
Well, see, that's the thing. They didn't expect that to go viral. They did the Dancing Baby and it went viral, and then they killed it.
Well, they did commercials with it and everything, right? It
went crazy. It was on every episode after that. And I was like, come on, man. That was the thing. I remember and MySpace was still popular then. And they were all the Dancing Baby memes on MySpace and stuff. And they was like, oh God. Like Shirley and Community. Yes, that is Rock. I remember Rock. Yes. Let me see. Hold on. See. Martin was also showed you some real problems in a comedic light that some people just don't recognize. Like, was there a drug addict living in a stairwell play for life? They did.
Probably.
Yeah, they did some crazy stuff on Martin. They definitely did.
It was definitely a sitcom. Like it's that sort of humor.
Yeah. So that is. Yeah, that is what it is. So that is the thing. So I just.
What about Apollo Creed? Do we like Apollo Creed as a black character?
Apollo Creed. I like him as a black character, but yeah, that's a television. I mean, that's a film thing. That's why I didn't. But
okay.
Apollo
That's right. You're sticking to TV.
Yeah, I'm sticking to TV, but Apollo Creed is definitely Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed was fantastic, and I actually like the relationship between him and Rocky. So let me see. Let's see. I really do. Man, that's another Black Shield. Saved by the Bell. Lark Voorhees.
I'm not sure they ever really dealt. Like they may have had one or two episodes that dealt with racial issues. I'm not even sure they even touched upon that too much.
They specifically had her there to be that, because everybody there at Bayside is rich.
Yeah, just so they weren't all white.
Except what was Jesse's family was poor, I think. I thought Jesse's family was poor.
I don't think so. Her and Zach were like best friends since they're little kids, so they have to probably be in the same neighborhood, I would imagine.
But I thought they did an episode because they did the same thing with Joe on Facts of Life, where they're at this boarding school or whatever.
No, she's not poor like Joe poor. She wasn't Joe poor.
Yeah, because I thought they were. I think if they did Facts of Life now, Joe would be a lesbian. You know that, right? You can take that she's already.
Yes, she would. You're so right, Antonio. You're so right. Or Natalie. I could see Natalie also being a lesbian.
Yeah, well, I definitely see Joe as being one.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Jesse was poor. That's what I thought. That was the one thing.
Okay.
Jesse was poor. That's why I was like, I remember
How were her and Zach such best friends? I guess
because he didn't give a damn about what kind of money she had.
But they were always sneaking into each other's windows. I'm thinking like early Saved by the Bell. It doesn't matter.
I watched it from the beginning. I'm talking about I watched it.
Lark was in it from the beginning. Jesse wasn't even there.
And that's another Aaron Spelling. Aaron Spelling was a master at tokenizing Black people. I would say I watched all Aaron Spelling shows. I watched, my mom loved Dynasty. So and you had they had the affluent family that was feuding with the white family. I can't remember because I noticed when they brought on the CW, they had the new Dynasty, and they kept that same dynamic with the rich Black family versus the rich white family, which I think is weird. 90210, whenever the original 90210, whenever they would bring Black people on. Matter of fact, the guy that plays Black Lightning on the CW, he was the Black guy that was dating Donna for a couple episodes or whatever.
Okay. I'm trying to think. There's no Black people on Beverly Hills 90210.
No, they brought him in on Beverly Hills 902. That's the first time I saw that guy. That's the first time I saw the guy that plays Black Lightning on the CW. First time I ever saw him was on Beverly Hills 90210, and he was they brought him into Beverly I'm trying to remember, had they gone to college at that point? Because I know when they were at the high school, Beverly High or whatever the hell.
West Beverly, I believe.
Yeah, West Beverly. But he's the Black guy that they bring in because he can play basketball.
Do you remember? Did you watch it first run by any chance? Beverly Hills 90210.
It was I used to watch 90210, Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Like the big episodes, the gun episode with David's friend when he shoots himself. Remember that? Yeah. Dylan's dad dying in the car explosion. That's like major.
And they made it sound like he had been like a spy or some kind of.
He's like dealt with mafia sort of dealing.
Yeah, he's some kind of criminal or whatever.
Yeah. Well, sure, Daniel C. Of course. Yeah. Or how about the episode when Kelly was at this frat party and there was a house fire and she was stuck in a bathroom with this girl that was hitting on her the whole night. That was a strange one. And she got burnt and she was like scarred for the whole season. Hilarious.
Let me see. Yeah, Buffy did first Slayer and the replacement.
Sure.
Yeah. I know because the jacket that Spike wears, he killed that Black Slayer.
Yeah.
And and then her little boy was like, he was like 7 or whatever.
He was and he becomes the principal in the last season. And
yeah, then they
dates Buffy, and then Spike rapes Buffy or attempts to.
And then she ended up having sex with him willingly multiple times.
Oh, that was before that, and then also after, I think, as well.
Yeah, when he got the soul, he got cursed with the soul like Angelus. And
he wasn't cursed, he asked for it. Well, we don't need to get into Buffy details.
Either way, I remember they gave him he didn't
know he was gonna get his soul. He just didn't want to hurt anymore.
Yeah, and he was given the soul, and then I remember he turned invisible. That was a weird episode where Buffy
was invisible.
Oh,
and that's when she was fucking Spike, and like Willow comes to ask where Buffy is, and she's like in bed, and Spike's like doing these maneuvers on her with everybody in the room. It's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode because I was like, so that was weird. Yeah, that was interesting. But Buffy just likes having sex with vampires for some reason.
She loves it. It's in her blood, man.
Yeah, I'm a pimp.
It must be a Slayer thing.
Yeah, well, the Buffy comic books picked up right after, so.
I read those for a little while, and then I just kind of got bored and stopped.
Yeah, there was, Josh Whedon was doing, and they did like Future Slayer and all that. Because like once they made every girl a Slayer, I was like, when they did that spell where every Slayer became Slayers,
and Willow becomes the goddess.
Yeah, it was just too much. And,
that was like the last episode though when that happened. So
and then they had to go into the comic book.
The whole season. Oh, sure. I don't like Xander and Dawn together. That's weird. That's just weird to me. I think that happens too. Yeah. We're like way off topic now though.
Yeah, you're getting off. Well, I don't know. We talk about television.
I'm just kidding. It's fun getting off topic.
It's like, what structure? But I mean, talking about Black Shields and all that kind of stuff. That is
I'm trying to think. Buffy. That's a pretty white show as well.
Yeah, Buffy. Well, they're saying they're developing the new Buffy, and Buffy's going to be black this time. They say.
I'm sorry. What? A new Buffy?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a new Buffy. Josh Whedon is supposed to be. Developing a new Buffy, and they want a black girl to play Buffy Summers this time.
I can't believe we're doing Buffy again.
Well, I mean, they're bringing all these shows back, so I don't know what happened.
Come up with some original ideas. What the fuck? I don't get it. I really don't get it.
It came out on the Hollywood Reporter about 2 years ago that they were bringing Buffy back. Oh, okay, hold up. Let's see. Monkey G said, I worked on Buffy for 6 years. Dun, 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 dun. No, Michelle.
I originally saw the movie as a kid, and when the show first came out, I refused to watch it. I was like, Christy Swanson's not Buffy? Fuck this. Well, who is this other person?
Is he considered black, or is he considered Klingon? He's considered Klingon.
Klingon.
Yeah, he's considered Klingon because he's an alien. So they don't have or they do have black Klingons or white Klingons.
I don't know what their older culture is like.
Voyager, that they had a Latina Klingon. They had a Latino Klingon.
And she said, like, I'm a Latina Klingon, or did she just act in like
her human parent was Latino?
Okay.
So, yeah. And then obviously she's half Klingon, because that's the thing. She was half Klingon and half human, and that's why. So they were like, is she angry because of her hot Latin blood, or is she angry because of her Klingon blood?
Oh my god.
They were doing that kind of thing, It's like she was, it's the whole thing. So, matter of fact, that speaking, I want to close out on this since you mentioned Worf. That Star Trek Deep Space Nine documentary, which I bought, What We Left Behind, is incredible. It's fantastic. They apparently the show went off the air before they added too much social justice into it, because they were talking about making Elon Garrick a gay guy and have him and Bashir be a couple. And that's what I thought was weird, because they actually did do. I saw some people when they mentioned that in the documentary. There were a couple of YouTubers that do Star Trek videos. They talked about it. And they said, "Wait a minute, Garrick was straight," and they actually did an episode of Deep Space Nine where an old girlfriend of his came to the station. So
I guess they could always say he's bi or something.
Yeah, it was weird. But the producers. One of the producers on the show said that, that was one of the things they wish that they could have done a storyline.
Is this streaming anywhere?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime right now. You can either rent it but I bought it. So I'll have it forever as long as
I just watched a documentary last night about a chorus line, which was fabulous.
So I love documentaries anyway. So it is yeah. But but what we left behind is incredible. They managed to talk to all the cast. They did not get Avery Brooks in it, so they used old interviews with him talking about the show. I think he had done some convention interviews, and they sat down with them for like 30 or 40 minutes, and they took like 2 or 3 different interviews that he did, and they took those and inserted them in various places. I wished when they actually had the day where the whole cast got together, I wish he had been there. Also, the guy that was playing Julian Bashir was not. He did interview for the documentary, but he was not on there, which I thought would have been. I would have been interested to see that, because he had a baby with the girl that played Kira Nerys. They had a child on the show. They actually got married, and then they broke up after the show went off the air. But yeah, that whole thing's weird. But Jill, this has been fun. You have kept me on my toes for 1 hour and so-called 52 minutes right now.
Wow.
So this is the JillStream is incredible. I love it, and this is great. These are
I love
great
it too.
This was so I'm happy to have you here, and I'm looking forward to having more and more of these conversations. Jill, since you are Jill of the JillStream, is there anything you would like to say before I close this bad boy out?
No, just bye everyone, and thanks for listening to us ramble on.
Yes,
about everything and anything. We'll be back.
Absolutely. But well, that is the closing word from Jill. But if you want to reach out to me, I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on this YouTube, all at Akari Press. Type in akaripress.com and check out my book brand, Way of the Gun, with Kanan White. Thank you guys. We have gone over $25,000, which is awesome. Appreciate that. And appreciate your support. Obviously, check us out on Teespring and Amazon if you want any of the horrible merchandise shirts that we sell with all of Kanan's cool designs.
Lovely merchandise.
Yes. So please check those out. And until the next episode of JillStream, Excelsior! Or something.